Hello, Raleigh Park. This is Mr. Curl reporting. Yes, a freshly shorn Mr. Curl reporting, absent his Rona beard. What better opportunity than a pandemic to let that facial hair grow? And certainly, what better opportunity than the end of a school year and the beginning of summer to shave off those pesky whiskers, those ever gray whiskers that were accumulating around my face. Anyway, I hope this message finds you well. I hope this message finds you safe. I hope this message finds you happy as we have a summer in front of us. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I just want to take another opportunity to congratulate the Raleigh Park 5th grade class of 2020. We had the chance to give them one last clap out in parade fashion, perhaps an unconventional and atypical fashion, and no less special. And so, and again, appreciation for all that they've contributed to the Raleigh Park community during their time as Raleigh Park Tigers. Well done, 5th graders, and wherever next year takes you, and wherever your endeavors take you off into the near and distant future, I never want it to be forgotten that you will always have a home at Raleigh Park. What a year. What a year. And certainly 1 year ago, no one could ever have anticipated, expected, predicted what we were dealing with. Certainly 6 months ago, no one would have ever expected what we just dealt with and what we just finished. And yet here we are. And I think it's worth celebrating, not necessarily celebrating what anybody would pretend is ideal for children or families. No one would ever pretend that this is the best way to teach and to learn. And yet, through our missteps, through our stumbles, through our perseverance, through our successes and challenges, here we are. And I do think there is time and cause for celebration. First and foremost, shepherded by the best teaching staff in the district. Your kids and you yourselves as parents and families stepped right alongside. And again, no one ever claimed this was going to be perfect. No one expected you to be perfect. But I understand and acknowledge that this came with no small lift on the parts of our families to make this work in partnership with schools. Again, not ideal, not perfect, but well done, Raleigh Park. We did so with perseverance, we did so with grit, and we did so with the hope that we all learned something about ourselves, and whatever that may be. There's always a learning opportunity. So again, well done, Raleigh Park. As we look forward, a couple points. Recently, the Beaverton School District sent a message home with a link to a parent survey. I would just ask, please, if you haven't completed that survey already, please let your voice, let your feedback be known. Whether it's successes that you experienced, whether it was learning opportunities that were had, whether it was challenges, concerns, fears, cool and warm feedback is appreciated and needed as we move forward, not only individually as your individual voice, but as a collective voice, not only in terms of reflection for this past year, but in reflection and in terms of anticipating this next school year. Please let your voice be heard. In addition to the Beaverton School District survey, I am going to include a link to the Oregon Department of Education, specifically their Ready Schools Safe Learners Initiative. This is an endeavor in collaboration between the Oregon Department of Education and the Oregon Health Authority in developing a set of guidelines and expectations for schools as we move forward into the following school year, the 2021 school year. Just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek and a preview. Number one, I would encourage you to read through that information, but just to give you a sneak peek and a preview, it appears that most districts, large districts the size of the Beaverton School District, will be moving forward in what we'll call a hybrid model. Now, a lot of those details at the local level, not only the district at the school level, are still being sorted out. So we do not have a finished product by any means, but the framework from which we'll be operating will be a hybrid. And specifically, what is a hybrid? It is a combination of in-person learning with remote, distance, or digital learning. The intention is to decrease the number of students at any one school site at one time, so most likely will involve splitting schools into cohorts, cohort A, cohort B, perhaps cohort C, and that is how we will manage the in-person learning, again, in combination when your children aren't on site, with some sort of remote or distance learning expectation. Not what I would ever expect anybody to think is, again, ideal. Not what I would ever hope or want for our children, and yet here we are. These are expectations being set for us by the Oregon Department of Education. We're expected to comply. So again, I would encourage you to read through some of that information. Specifically in that link, there is some information for families that I would ask you to look through. And included on that page is an opportunity for feedback. As with the Beaverton School District, don't let your opportunity for feedback and input and voice go without contributing. I can't tell you how, again, important it is for your individual and collective voice to be heard. Let the state know what's going on, how you're feeling, and how you believe we should best move forward. It is, I can't stress, it is important. Please, please, please. As we look to budget and staffing, as you might expect with the pandemic and some of the economic impact, not only to our state but our nation, the budget that the Beaverton School District was moving forward with as we were in winter had to be adjusted. And so right now we're in budgeting phase 2, or round 2, if you will, in which the school district's budget had to be adjusted to adapt to the expected decrease in public funds to fund school. With money and budget comes staffing. And so as the district puts the finishing touches on round 2 of the budget, staffing is soon to follow. And I can tell you, I would expect within the coming days to get some of that information regarding our staffing next year. Specifically, I know that a lot of our families are always interested about how many classroom teachers, how many classrooms we'll have next year, and then ultimately where those classroom teachers will be allocated within the grade levels. As soon as I am able to share that information, I certainly will, but just again, stay tuned. That information will be coming hopefully sooner than later. In closing, I'd be remiss to not mention as perhaps a spokesperson for our learning community, and then certainly as a human and a voice for this learning community, I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on the recent events surrounding the death of George Floyd. I know there's a challenge for anybody in my position that speaks for a community or represents a learning community, in that what to say. I think it's often we're fearful that we're not going to say enough. Maybe we'll say too much. Maybe we'll say the wrong thing. Someone as verbal as me, as many of you have come to know, there's a fear in stumbling upon the words and the thoughts and the feelings. I can say that I was hurt, dismayed, heartbroken, angry, disappointed in what I saw, like many of us. I've had a chance to reach out individually to many of our Black, brown, and blended families to just express my sincere desire to support them, to ensure that they know they are loved and they are appreciated. But for the sake of a message that goes out to our entire community, I'll just simply say that I want it known that not only our Black, our brown, and our blended families, they certainly need to know that they have a safe, a welcoming, and loving place to send their children each and every day. And it's not just certainly about their children, it's about our families as well. But I want all Raleigh Park communities, all of our Raleigh Park communities and our families to know that Raleigh Park, as long as I am principal and as long as I have a say in the matter, will always be a safe, a welcoming, and accepting community that is there for each and every one of us. Certainly, I always open the dialogue, the conversations that need to be had, and I promise to you that I want to be responsive and receptive to any and all needs that are out there in the face of, again, a variety of feelings and a variety of concerns that anyone might have. So with that said, I just want to let you know you are loved. If no one has told you they loved you today, you remember I do. You have a tigerific day. certainly, I hope the fathers out there had a tigerific Father's Day. Have a tigerific week. Have a tigerific summer. And until next time, remember, be well, Raleigh Park.